Thank you, Irene, and thank you to the NGX for inviting me to this program, and happy International Women's Day to all my sisters, colleagues, and panelists today. So I'll start off by saying that at Alethea Capital, we particularly invest private equity money. So we're a fund that receives money from the likes of development finance institutions around the world. And in particular, we are focused on addressing funding towards addressing these SDGs that we're talking about. And specifically for today, we have a fund that addresses specifically SDG 5 as its prime objective, which is being intentional about channeling funding to female founders and to businesses that have impact on women. As we all know, very little money, around less than 5% of money that is invested in companies actually reaches women-led businesses. And for us, we go further to talk about women impacted businesses. So coming to your question about specific KPIs. So at Alethea Capital, we actually developed a gender lens framework. I think it was Robin that said earlier that there has been resistance because people don't understand, what is gender lens investing, what is a proper gender lens fund, what is a proper gender fund. So we started by creating a framework to show what it means to achieve certain metrics around women in leadership in business, around being intentional about backing female founders, about being intentional about the supply chains for businesses, about being intentional about the products that women particularly need, essential products, whether that's health, education, finance. So we developed a framework to look at the different areas of leadership, ownership, boardroom representation, job creation for women in the company, female employee engagement, and female engagement within the supply chain, and also products for women, specifically essential products. So when we're talking about performance of gender bonds, and even for gender funds that might be invested in equity, the key thing is what's the intentionality? So I've just laid that out. But then also, what are the measurements of success? What quantum do we want? And oftentimes people ask me, oh, does that mean that you won't invest in a company that doesn't have a woman in the founding team? And I say, well, actually, I like to make change from the inside. So yes, I will invest, but one of my metrics over the first 12 months is how do we get a female owner in there with you, or female leadership in the boardroom, in management, and all the way down to the factory floor. And by the way, how do we make sure that your products are intentional about addressing affordability and access for women? So to talk about performance, we have to talk about these frameworks. And I think when you have these put in place, that then helps people to position the kinds of funds or bonds that they want to invest in. Now, given that we're speaking on International Women's Day that is themed Breaking the Bias, it would be remiss of me not to talk about those biases, because really intentionality, which is something that we talk a lot about from our perspective, means being able to address the bias of funding and being intentional about finding those businesses that are led by women that we know are good businesses. And like we said earlier, not just because of a moral imperative, but because by investing in good businesses, and particularly it's been shown that gender diverse businesses provide 20% or more superior performance to businesses that are not diverse in their management team. So that intentionality enables us to address a particular bias. We also, in addressing the financing bias, believe that we address the gender performance bias, because there's a bias that says that, oh, women-led businesses are charitable businesses, they're not going to scale, yada, 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 all the excuses that we can think about. And so again, we have to be intentional about investing in these businesses and showcasing these businesses that are indeed achieving this superior performance. And another bias that we definitely must not miss talking about today is the affinity bias, which is the bias that people will invest in people that look like them, people will promote people that look like them. And so we need to have more female representation in the decision-making offices, rooms, round the table, what have you. So I just wanted to make sure that we address that theme of